Is Sonic a shoo-in for Best Picture? Will we see any more movies in theaters? We discuss what movies got postponed, plus what released early, and just see what we've been watching during our quarantine. Let's roll for sound.
Quiet on the set.
Now, I present to you the An Action Pod.
Welcome back, boys.
Welcome back.
Yeah, we're back in both video and audio form. You know, I didn't expect this to be our first video podcast, but here we are. All in our separate homes, since we are still on lockdown right now, so we're not able to record together. But we thought, why as well see if we can get an episode. We talk about at least what's been going on. So, but how you boys been?
I mean, not much.
Yeah, I've been good.
Yeah,
I've been good. Yeah.
Just, stuck at home. So I have many more opportunities to watch more of the things I want to watch.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten some more free time at least.
Yeah, I've watched many movies and many TV shows while on this little break.
Yeah, so it's good for something at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Due to everything closing down, part of that includes the movie theaters. So all the movie theaters are closed right now. So I thought, Brett, since we don't have any trailers, I thought you would hit us with the last box office real quick, just to see what that was like.
You know what, Derek? I could hit you with that real quick.
You're gonna hit me with that? Okay.
I'm gonna hit you with that from the last recorded day of March 19th, Thursday, March 19th, which Onward at 33,000 at number 1, Invisible Man at number 2 at 21.8, Bloodshot surprisingly got in there at 18,000. I Still Believe at number 4, and at number 5, The Hunt at 13.
And so, Daniel, from your perspective,
The Call of the Wild was number 5.
Call of the Wild. We've been out of it for a bit. It's okay. Daniel, from your perspective, how are those numbers in terms of just normally? Or are you able to gauge what it's been the last days before you had that the theaters had to close?
They're in the thousands.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Those are super low. They're million, like in the thousands. It's like what?
That's got to be the average ticket price is 13 to 15. Theaters can hold about 100 roughly, depending on the theater. I'm trying to do the math, but it's definitely was like a slow wave until they all hit at once. It seems like, because it didn't happen all right away. I think AMC was the first chain, then Regal, Cinemark, and then some of the smaller chains like Alamo and things like that jumped in soon after. But I think by the 20th, I think some businesses had to, if they weren't considered essential, they had to close. But that didn't stop them from releasing some of these movies for us to see, at least, if you catch my drift. A lot of movies are releasing early. Even ones that were only in theaters for a couple weeks got an early release. Movies like the Invisible Man, Emma, and The Hunt got an early in-theater rental release. So basically, you could rent it for $20 and you'd get the movie for a 48-hour window. And I don't know if you could watch it as many times or you only get the one viewing. I don't know if either of you know the stipulation. I don't know if either of you took advantage of that. Okay.
No, I did not.
I haven't rented anything.
And then besides those, movies like Birds of Prey, Sonic, Call of the Wild, The Way Back, all got early home releases where you can own the movie for like the normal $20. You could rent it. I don't actually know, you can't rent it. You only buy it, but at least you can buy it with that price. And then Onward, which was like the last like big release, is already also on. It's available to purchase, and as of today, as this release, you can watch it if you have Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, yeah.
Yes, and as the three of us, if you remember our last review of it, we all highly recommended it. Yeah. So if you have it, you should definitely check it out.
We all three will probably be watching it again.
It sucks that it was released and these unfortunate circumstances happened because now it's going to be Pixar's lowest grossing movie.
It definitely would have done really well too if it didn't have this like.
I feel like word of mouth would have helped it a lot.
Yeah, definitely got hurt quite a bit. But how are you boys
Special
feeling about
guest.
the? Oh my God.
Say hi. No, he's leaving.
I didn't schedule this guest for the pod.
He has nothing to say.
Good. No. What do you boys feel about these early releases? Do you think these are going to be happening more? Do you think we'll be seeing something like these like rental windows where it's like $20 and you get to rent the movie? And you guys have any thoughts about that specifically? If you think that's like a fair price, is that something you would consider doing if that was an option?
Daniel.
I mean, it depends on the movie. Like, I'm all about like the theatrical experience. So I don't know. Like, I feel like smaller, like independent movies, and I wouldn't see why not. But like, like more action, or I don't know, like movies that were kind of like made to be seen on the screen. I wouldn't do those.
Yeah, I feel that. Brett?
I definitely feel that in this time, yeah, it's perfect. So we all don't have to touch each other and stuff. But other than that, I also really enjoy the theater experience. I like getting my popcorn, I like getting my drink, and I like sitting down in a reclining chair and enjoying a movie. Although the comfort of home.
I know.
Really, that convenience is what's really like you just like love just to just lay out on your bed or on your couch and just put on whatever's like onward you can just watch without having to go to like the theater. And I know this is something that studios have been like thinking about before this all happened, where they wanted to release movies like either simultaneously or like within like weeks of the release in theaters to home release. But I know like Christopher Nolan and other filmmakers are highly against it. They're very here for the theater viewing experience. I do miss it though. It's been a few weeks, and I do like having the big picture, like the audio, and just kind of like it's been a few weeks, and it's probably going to be a lot longer until we get to do that again. Yeah. And even when we do get to do that again, I don't know what movies we're going to be able to see, because a lot of the movies have been
hopefully they all just come out at once.
Yeah, just on the same day. We'll just marathon them. I do have the list of movies that have all been postponed, whether indefinitely or they moved to a new date. And I'm going to run through those because they've been adding by the day. As I think earlier this week, a couple were added, and very well more could have been added after this recording. So, but here's everything. Quiet Place 2, Mulan, No Time to Die, I think we discussed already before. Ghostbusters, Black Widow, Wonder Woman 1984, Scoob, The Lovebirds, The New Mutants for its 5th time, postponed, moved away. Antlers, Women in the Window, Minions, In the Heights, Peter Rabbit 2, and Morbius. And there could have been more I missed, but these are all the bigger releases. While some have been moved to 2021, like Fast 9, Ghostbusters, Morbius, all have 2021 release dates. Some they don't have a release date, like A Quiet Place 2, Black Widow, Mulan. They're kind of just sitting in like a limbo until I think more like we get more updates on what's happening. While Wonder Woman got pushed to August, I know they want to release that, and there's always the rumors too that I've been hearing that like Disney's been considering Black Widow and Mulan to like doing like the rental window and then Disney Plus or something like that. Same with Wonder Woman. There was some rumors going around, but then again, it all depends on what happens and if they really want to make sure those release in theaters. One that's kind of still holding strong, because a lot of movies have been postponed up through July, is Tenet. I think is one of the last releases in July. So a lot of movies have been delayed and postponed and moved to different dates. Was there any movie specifically you boys were bummed about when you heard? Like, what was the one that maybe like hurt you a little bit when you heard it wasn't going to be coming out this year? Or at least postponed, I should say.
In the Heights was kind of hurt for me because they said indefinitely, so I was like, what does that mean? I mean, the movie was still in post-production, so it makes sense because they didn't even get to finish it. So, But like a lot of those other movies, like I think like obviously A Quiet Place and Mulan were already like done. They had been screened. Mulan was actually getting like really early, like good positive early reactions. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah, both that and Quiet Place 2 were getting a lot of good reactions.
Mm-hmm.
There's a chunk of people out there who've seen these movies.
Yeah. And I mean, A Quiet Place was also kind of rough because it like they announced it like a week before it was supposed to come out. So I was like,
yeah.
But other than that, like I don't know. I mean, Wonder Woman at least has a date. If that date is gonna happen, it remains to be seen, but we'll see.
We'll definitely see about that. I was really bummed about Ghostbusters. I think that one bummed me out because that just seeing that headline. And then Quiet Place 2, because I was looking forward to it and we were so close to it, which sucks to see. And I Wonder Woman at least has a date, but like we'll see how, as you were saying, we'll see how it goes from here. But right.
Mine would probably just have to be No Time to Die.
Yeah, we'll have to be. It's holiday release. I think it was moved to November.
Yeah, like Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So at least they gave it a date too. So at least there's some good hope for some of these movies because they got a date later than the year.
Yeah, by the fall, theaters should be open, is what I've heard. That seems to be the overwhelming consensus. Is that unless things just don't get better by then, but
like,
the most they're not
optimistic. The most optimistic thing is that they'll open by the fall. So I guess we'll see. And I was gonna ask you, Derek, is Trolls are they still gonna release? Well, are they just doing the in-home thing then?
So before the theaters closed, they were gonna do a in theater and a video on demand release, but now I think it's just a video on demand release. So on the intended day, it's still going to come out on like The Rent. So I think that's because Universal did the same thing with those other three movies. So that was like the Invisible Man and Emma and all those. So I think they just followed suit with that one too. But additional movies that were supposed to release, it also postponed a bunch of productions of movies and TV series. Like Stranger Things, The Batman, a lot of like upcoming features that we're filming also have delayed their production. So that could also delay future movies coming out and TV series. Yeah. So it's definitely going to be just something to kind of like watch out and just kind of keep updates on and see what's happening. But for now, it's just it seems like whatever was. Some people are still working remotely on projects, so there's still a chance that some stuff that's in like post-production could still be finished. It just kind of depends. Decisions are made to release. I honestly think that of all the movies that are been postponed, Disney should just put New Mutants out. It's been delayed so many times now. They should just release the movie, call it at this point.
I feel like that's just such a bad sign that they should just like give it up.
There's some sort of curse on that movie. It just like this was out of its hands. Like this was not even. It was going to release, which I wanted to see it. Whether I was good or bad. I wanted to see it just to see it.
Just finally. To like see with your own eyes.
Yeah. So, so in terms of that, there's not much new movies for us to discuss. However, due to us having more free time since we're able to go out, hang out as much as we would like to. We have all three of us, I believe, have been kind of watching a lot of content at home. As we've been talking with each other. I know we've each kind of been trying to catch up on stuff we've been meaning to watch, things like that.
But first, Daniel, what have you been watching? What's one show you've been watching?
Real quick, right before you hit that, I need to hit my reoccurring segment, and I'm happy to say I know the answer to this. Daniel, did you watch that movie I lent you over 2 months ago?
I did. Thank you.
He did it. He did it, ladies and gentlemen. And what's shitty is because I still won't get the movie back for months.
I mean, to be fair, I did watch it before like the whole lockdown happened. So like my intention was to talk about it on our next episode. So
talk it right now. Let's hit it up. Tell me what you thought.
I mean, it's a great movie. Like it's it's kind of like it has a really good twist.
Yeah.
And like when it happened, like it kind of like starts seeming like it's thing, and then like it turns into like a whole other thing, and it's a really good movie. It's like it's a good like like it has a really like compelling story, I would say.
What's the movie again?
Your Name. It's a Japanese movie.
Yeah, so I would recommend to anyone else out there looking for something to watch. It's great. It's got a lot of good story and characters. If you find somewhere to watch it. But now to follow back to Brett's question that he asked Daniel.
Go ahead.
Well, I've mostly seen movies that I hadn't seen in a while. So I've rewatched some old movies, and then I've been like watching like episodes that have aired. And then I started watching a couple days ago a show called Pushing Daisies, which is from 2007. What's your face about?
What have you been watching?
He's waiting for a specific answer.
I'm waiting for it.
And you know what answer it is.
If you're talking about Fleabag, I mean, I just watch Fleabag all the time, not even during lockdown.
There it is.
Liar.
I just watch random episodes here and there, and then I kind of started rewatching Schitt's Creek too. So,
all right. Why don't you talk about Pushing Daisies then? If there's something new you're watching.
Yeah, I mean, the show's from 2007. It wasn't like super successful, but it was always like really well received. I was looking through IMDb, and all the episodes are like rated. You know how people can rate like individual episodes. Like none of the episodes go below an 8, which I think is it's really good. Like it talks to like the constant quality of the show. It's a very quirky show. It's a little ahead of its time, but the basic premise, it's this guy who has like some mysterious power where he can bring things back from the dead. But if he touches the person or the animal again, like for a second time, then it dies permanently. And then if he keeps something alive for more than a minute, something else dies, like within proximity. So that's like the basic premise. Like, and then he starts working with a private detective to solve like murders. And he like wakes up the person and asks them like, hey, like who killed you or what happened before you died and things like that. And then he ends up bringing back his like childhood sweetheart who got murdered. He brings her back, and then they like kind of start a relationship, but they can't touch each other. So yeah, but it's a really quirky show. It's like the whole aesthetic of it, the characters, like there's like a British narrator, so that's kind of cool. And it has all these little things. The show, like I said, wasn't like super successful when it came out, but it's gained a cult following. It has some well-known actors, like pretty well-known, like Lee Pace, who was in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie in the first one, and Captain Marvel. He's Ronan the Accuser. And then Kristen Chenoweth is in it.
And he's in The Hobbit.
Yes. Oh, yes, he is.
He's in The Hobbit. And then Kristen Chenoweth, and then a British actress called Anna Friel, and then just some like people here and there. But it's I'm only 5 episodes in, and it's a total of 22 episodes. But I like it a lot from what I've seen. So yeah.
Okay.
And then I also saw, speaking of new things, because I've rewatched obviously a lot of older things, I did see this movie from the late 90s called Drop Dead Gorgeous. That is also like considered. Yeah, it's considered a cult movie. Like it's like very well known, like within certain like groups, but it's this like mockumentary about a beauty pageant in Minnesota, and it has a lot of like. It has a lot of really famous. Really well-known people like Kirstie Alley's in it, Kirsten Dunst, Ellen Barkin, Allison Janney, Amy Adams. Denise Richards, like has like some pretty well-known people, and it's like just this like really like farcical movie, and I guess it like bombed when it first came out, but it's like gotten this like status, and the movie's hilarious. Like I feel like if it would have come out, it's kind of offensive here and there too, but like I laughed a lot during that movie, and I just decided to watch it on a whim. And it's like not really available to watch anywhere, so I had to watch it through other means. But
what kind of means is that, Daniel?
What does
Illegal
that mean?
means?
What does that mean?
I'll leave it to your imagination. But I really enjoyed it. It's a really good movie. It was a pleasant surprise, and it was like it's really funny, and I was pleasantly surprised that Amy Adams was in it. It must have been one of her like first movies. So yeah, that's something new that I started watching, or new that I watched besides all the other things that I've just been like catching up on. What about you guys?
Real quick, so besides your secret way of watching, you said that movie is you couldn't like rent it on other platforms or anything like that?
No, I looked for it, and like it wasn't like available anywhere. And like I guess like the DVDs like out of print, so you can only buy it like on resale or things like that, or like through like third party sellers. So
can't even
which is
rent it
interesting
on Amazon.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I guess at some point last year it was streaming on Hulu, but it got, I guess it only streamed for a little bit. So yeah.
All right, listeners, find. Just use Daniel's method. You know, the only way to watch it. So
I don't know what you're assuming here. We're insinuating.
But anything you rewatched that you want to shout out, just you don't have to like. If you want to recommend something, people.
I mean, I think I've talked about Schitt's Creek a few times on the pod, but like that show kind of like started really like kind of slow. Not slow for me, but like the more it progressed, the better it got for me, and the more invested I got in it. And now that I'm all caught up with it, there's only 2 episodes left of the whole series. Like the series is gonna end next week. The series finale is next week. And since I'm all caught up, I kind of went back to the beginning of the show to rewatch it to see if I like get a different appreciation of it. And it's definitely like, I feel like it's one of those things that rewards repeat viewings. And I know, Brett, you've seen some of it, and Derek, you've seen like random episodes, but I definitely like it's a show that has really good writing, really good character development. So if you get a chance to watch it, watch that. The later seasons especially are like really, really good. All the like from seasons 2 all have 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. So
it's definitely been one I've been meaning to watch. So
that, and there's this show that's like airing. I'm just watching it week by week. That's called Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. I don't know if I talked about it in the past, but that show has it's an NBC show, and it's a musical, but it's like the premise is really interesting because she can hear people's thoughts through music. So, and it's like pop music usually, but it's like really fun. It's a really fun show and really quirky, and I'm enjoying that show a lot, especially like during these like harder times. It's like really like kind of like a breath of fresh air. And Jane Levy, who was in Evil Dead and Don't Breathe, she's the protagonist, and she's great at the show. She's part of the reason why I like the show a lot. So something, if you're looking for something new, and you kind of like off the beat, off the path like shows, like I definitely recommend that. But yeah,
okay.
that's about it. I'll let you guys take the floor.
Brett, let's talk about the show we both finished. Well, 2 of the shows we both finished, I guess. Talk about Hunters, which I think mentioned in a previous episode. We were early on in the show. I was only 2 episodes, and you had just started watching the first one. But now we both have completely finished it. And what were your thoughts on it?
In the beginning, it was kind of just a slow show. Not much was really happening other than I forget his name. Whatever. Just trying to find his way. Jonah without his grandma.
Yeah.
But other than that, like towards the end, it got great, and I mean, some would even say excellent because there's a plot twist that just totally comes up, and you never really see it coming. I thought that was fantastic. I thought that part of hiding the whole thing throughout the whole movie, but like giving those like subtle hints throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, Derek.
I was going to say, definitely for me, it was definitely a slow start, which was why it kind of took a bit for me to continue watching it. But as it gets rolling and it gets kind of deeper into the plot and the characters kind of develop a little more, it definitely builds momentum. And especially by the end, it's like a lot of the twists and like setups they have are they pay off really well and they're done really well and it's setting up extremely well for a second season. Very excited to see the direction it's going to go. And it's it's only 10 episodes. I know that I think one of the first episode was my only like fault with it. It's such a long episode to get people to jump in.
Yeah.
No. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you have this thought, Brett, but not to say it's an exact copy to it, but I did get some like I don't know. It kind of made some connections, just kind of like how it's set up similarly is to The Boys. And like very not necessarily like story wise, but more so like kind of the characters and just kind of like the team build up and all that, and it's kind of like I kind of got some like familiar vibes to it, but I do like that it set itself up to be something different from it because that was my concern going into the show that was going to be similar to The Boys just based on like the trailer and all that, but by the end I think it's done a good job of like giving it its own like distinct flavor and like its own feel. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah. So that's on Amazon. If you got nothing to watch, definitely check that out. And action recommend. Daniel, did you ever push through it or did you get any further than where you were?
I think I've seen only the first 2 episodes. So I didn't get past that. The second episode was good, definitely. I think I'll just have to watch it. I mean, I have time, so.
Definitely check it out.
Yeah.
Now, the other show, I'm sure a lot of people have been watching this show. If you're on social media, it's everywhere, which is Tiger King. Tiger King, which is
the number one show on Netflix.
It is the number one show on Netflix right now. To those who are somehow have not seen it anywhere or unfamiliar, it's a true crime docuseries following a group of people, but mainly one person in particular whose name is Joe Exotic, who runs a zoo, quote unquote, like a big cat like experience. And it kind of follows these other people that are involved in this world, like these big cat like rescues or like things like that. But it kind of dives into like them and their personalities and how they're kind of treating animals and how they are with these other people. Specifically, Joe Exotic is a very quirky and out there character, to say the least. They all kind of are. I guess that's just the trend with these big cat people or just these animal people in general. So, because honestly, every person they introduced is not just like some normal guy. There's just something unique about them. Yeah. And it's all set in, it's all based, most of it's in Oklahoma. One of the places is in Florida. And we're just kind of interweaving. You're seeing kind of both sides of all these people in their lives, just seeing back and forth. But it builds to this like, the meat of it, which was what it was eventually happens without saying too much if people don't want to be spoiled. I know Daniel, you only watched the first episode, so I'll avoid saying what happens yet. But I remember hearing about this in real time. It was one of the I listened to was last podcast on the left, and they were talking about this kind of like week by week updates on what he was doing, like when he was running for like president and then the governor, and then just like all these like decisions he made and what he was doing at the time, and eventually to leading up what he did. But it's a crazy story, and it's only 7 episodes, but it goes by really quick because it's just like you cannot believe what you're watching, and you're just entertained the whole time. So, Brett, did you have any additional to add about it?
Other than like how crazy the characters are, it's a crazy story.
Yeah,
I would highly recommend if you have not seen this show or have not even heard of this show to get it on Netflix. Or there's another podcast done by Wondery. It's called just Joe Exotic, I'm pretty sure. And I mean, they run through the same kind of essential stuff that the Netflix show goes through. But you're on episode what number, Daniel?
I just saw the first episode.
Oh, okay. All right. But yeah. contrary to popular belief, I have heard some stuff recently. Did you guys know that Joe Exotic did not actually sing those songs?
I'm very disappointed in that. Yeah. I was really bummed because I thought he had the voice of an angel.
Yeah. I actually found out how he did it.
Yeah.
If you guys are interested. Yeah. So I guess he contracted 2 country music stars or whatever, and he had them sing it and write it. And then he came over the top with his singing voice. But then when it came to post-production, he took out his voice.
I thought he would have at least written the songs. It's funny that he had someone else write these songs.
Yeah, he had somebody else write the songs.
If you've seen the show, you'll know why.
And
I mean,
yeah,
when he sings in the first episode, I was like, there's no way that's his voice.
What? No, yeah.
I wanted it to be so bad.
I just, I can't believe that this is, like you said yesterday, Derek, I can't believe that this is an actual real person that lives in America.
Yeah, it's the person that exists that is legit. They're not playing it up. This is how they actually are. And there's not him especially he's the most, but like there are a couple other people in that show that are questionable, or maybe if you think about it, could be considered even worse than he is. Depending on what aspect if you want to talk about. But Matt might be something we can discuss once Daniel's watched it. But yeah, it's on Netflix. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. It's, if you're into like true crime things like that, it's definitely worth the watch, and it's very entertaining. So
yeah.
And then before we talk about what me and Brett individually watched, there was one other thing I wanted to bring up. It was a movie that me and Brett watched. What? How do we watch a movie together?
How?
Xbox party. Was something. So due to us not being able to physically, Brett, were in a game party and we're like, let's watch a movie together. So we ended up watching The Shawshank Redemption together, which was a very cool experience if you're kind of missing watching a movie with your friend or things like that, whether it's on an Xbox party or if you over Skype, things like that. There's a lot of methods you could do it, but hopefully it was more entertaining watching that with Brett than maybe sitting up by myself and watching it, because I think it helped me kind of like remember the movie more, I guess. It kind of stood out more as we were watching. Basically, it was just us doing Morgan Freeman impressions the entire time. So, or just back and forth as we watched it.
Yeah. I thought you didn't like that movie, Brett.
Well, I watched it again and I came to realize it was actually pretty good. So
I had not seen that movie in a long time, and after the rewatch, I can say that I liked it a lot. I'd say it's one of my favorite movies because it's just so well done. I was surprised that it didn't sit with me before, but it really sat with me on the second viewing.
Yeah,
because I was watching with my Andy Dufresne or my Red.
The highest rated movie on IMDb, I believe. It's number 1.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
After Andy Dufresne hammered his way out of that wall, he crawled through 50 feet of shit.
Get busy living, or get busy dying. What was the name of the beach that he goes to? Do you remember?
Something.
Z something.
It's like some super hard name that like no way Morgan Freeman's character could ever remember that. No possible way.
Yeah, when he when he's reading the letter from Andy and he's like trying to remember the place, and he instantly knew what it was, and I'm just like, no way. So yeah, I just recommend if there's a movie, TV show, watch something with a friend. It helps alleviate the I guess if you're like having some like FOMO or missing out hanging out with your friends, it's a good way to do it. So, or just do like a normal chat, whatever you want. Now, Brett, what have you been watching that maybe you want to recommend, or what's been some highlights for you?
I don't want to recommend this movie, but I did recently watch this movie, Spencer Confidential.
Okay.
It was the number 1 movie on Netflix for, couple weeks, couple days or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say that this movie was a Boston-made movie, I hear. And they wanted Boston people in this movie. So, of course, Marky Mark has to put his name right in there.
Mm-hmm.
A surprise, appearance from some, UFC fighters and some, rappers like Post Malone and, Donald Cerrone. But the only thing lacking here is a good story. Right now, I feel like Marky Mark is just taking any role. Real, this movie was hot shit, garbage. There were some jokes in there that were pretty funny, but like Alan Arkin isn't like he's okay. He's not that great, but like Winston Duke, you would expect him to be like cooler in a sense because of that role.
Us, Black Panther.
Yes, us, Black Panther. Black Panther especially.
Yeah.
But in this movie, he's kind of just like this like laid back, quiet dude who's supposed to be the juggernaut of like the two.
Mm.
And it's it's too Boston for me. I don't want to say it's too Boston for me because there are other movies that are like pure Boston, and it's like movies such as Good Will Hunting, but that's perfect. Like
yeah,
you really
the
feel
town.
like,
You love the town too.
Oh, don't get me started. The town in my mind is perfect. But like I don't know, like some accents are there, and then they go, and then they are there again, and they're go, and then they're thicker, and it's like, all right, well, what are we doing here? Because But yeah, that's a hot movie. I would not recommend.
Is it supposed to be like a comedy or action or?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
supposed to be something.
Says it all.
It seems like it's supposed to be a comedy drama, comedy action movie, but like.
Hey, how's it going? You didn't like my movie? That sucks. All right. Yeah. See you later. Say hi and love for me.
Yeah. I don't want to like take away from Mark Wahlberg, but like this was probably the worst movie he's ever made.
Really? Over the Transformers?
Over The Happening?
You haven't seen them?
You know what? The Happening was probably one of the worst movies ever.
The Happening? Also, I forgot about The Happening. Oh boy.
Yeah. How about that scene where they're like in the car and then they all realize that there's a slit in the door in the top of the Jeep and they're like this or like
what?
Isn't that
and then they
I'm not gonna kill you.
Like loses it.
What?
Isn't that the part when John Leguizamo like loses it?
That's when he dies. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that premise of that movie was fucking stupid.
Because it's the plants, right, that release like a toxin or something.
Yes,
plants are fighting back.
Plants are out to get us.
That's crazy.
Ridiculous. So I'd say that this is probably third of his worst movies.
All right, take that as you will. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else you've been watching?
I've tried to get into the BBC show Sherlock.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I've been trying to watch that. Surprisingly enough,
What was that?
Those are like long episodes, right? They're like an hour and a half each.
Look at that. I was literally about to say that. All those episodes are about like an hour and a half. And, I was unsure about it I thought the first episode was actually really good. It was kind of entertaining. The way Benedict Cumberbatch and plays like a modern time Sherlock Holmes. And, you got Dr. Watson coming in and like kind of how they meet and how they come together. And then, that second episode, I was a little iffy in the beginning because it started out with this like lady who like unveils a statue, and I thought like some ghost stuff was about to happen, and I was about to be like, nah, I can't do this. But it got better. It got better, and it yeah. So I would recommend this show for people who are interested in crime shows and crime shows only.
Okay.
And there's short seasons too, right? There's like 3 episodes per season or something.
Yeah, so it's 3 episodes per season. It's an hour and a half each season, each episode. So
It's,
I mean,
it's
I've heard
one
really good things.
case, right? Like each like season is like a case or something, or is it multiple?
Each episode is one case. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's all to get that dastardly Professor Moriarty.
Played by
Shit.
Andrew Scott.
Is it?
Is he?
Yeah, Andrew Scott plays Moriarty.
Dang.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real honest with you.
You don't know who that is.
I'm gonna fucking murder you
Why?
because I literally just saw Andrew Scott in an episode, like just right before I got on here, and he was playing like this, like the boyfriend of like the morgue lady.
I'm sorry, Brett. I thought that was like a well-known thing. I mean, that's where I first heard of him, was through that show. I'm sorry if it was a spoiler.
I didn't even see the show and he spoiled it for you.
I thought that was a well-known thing. I'm sorry.
Oh man. Do you even
I'm
watch
sure it's
it
going to be
anymore?
revealed in the next episode or something. Sorry, Brad. He's actually not Moriarty. He's the hot priest. He just reprised the role in Fleabag. Okay, bad save. Never mind.
You can't. It's done. You've done it. It's too late. Any other shows you want Daniel to? Any other shows you want Daniel to spoil for you or anything?
Real quick.
Sorry.
Oh boy. Anything else?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, I finished that. I also finished Master of None, which was really good. Bummed that there's no more of that because it kind of ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger. Then I watched 2 new movies that I hadn't seen before. One that Daniel's been wanting me to watch for a long time. I finally watched Blade Runner, the first Blade Runner. It was on Netflix. It was good. I enjoyed it.
You liked it?
I did like it. Maybe not as much as I was expecting it to. That I was going to really like it, but for me, like the first half is really good, but the second half feels a little slower, I guess. I don't know. There was something about it that didn't win me over completely, but I did enjoy it. There's a lot of cool like effects. Hairsport's great. A lot of good like cinematography, things like that. Maybe I'll watch the new one, but it's not streaming anywhere, so I have not yet watched that. So hopefully I could find it soon to watch. I might just have to rent it if I can't find it anywhere. So, yeah. So whatever the final cut, which I think is like the preferred cut of it, whatever is on Netflix. Yeah. Okay, because I know there's multiple cuts of it. The other one I watched was Moon. I don't know if you boys know of that one.
Oh, the one with Sam Rockwell, right?
The one with Sam Rockwell, yeah. And that was great. I really, really liked that one, actually. I'm a big fan of Sam Rockwell, and he gives a great performance in this. I don't want to say too much about it because I didn't know anything about it going in, and I think it's kind of better to kind of be surprised by this movie. But it's really short. It's funny. It's also a good performance out of him. He's really the main actor in this, and you're really kind of working off of him. And the movie is not what I was expecting to be, so I thought it was a really cool concept. The only thing that kind of sours it is there's like an AI that's voiced by Kevin Spacey in the movie. So that's that's that. But I mean, besides that, fantastic movie. Would recommend it. It's on Netflix, so I would recommend checking that one out if you haven't. And in terms of TV, the show I'm currently on right now is Twin Peaks. I've been watching that. The show I've been recommended and been wanting to watch for a while. It's a supernatural drama that's set in this fictional town in Oregon, and it follows a FBI agent named Dale Cooper, who's played by Kyle MacLachlan, who goes to this town to investigate this murder of this local high school girl who kind of has connections to a lot of people in the town, and it's kind of him working with the sheriff's department there, kind of working with all these people to figure out what's going on, all while there's kind of this underlying supernatural presence that's been kind of teased and like it was relevant. It becomes more relevant by the end of the first season, beginning of the second season, it kind of becomes more prominent. But it's really well done. It's David Lynch. So if you're familiar with anything he's done, it definitely has like a unique flair and quirkiness to it, but nothing too out there, I think, for people. It's definitely a show that was way before its time in terms of just like the writing and just like the characters. And I really, really like Kyle MacLachlan's character. He might be one of my favorite television characters. Just the way he plays Dale Cooper is really like really fun. It's also like really serious. He's able to kind of bounce back a lot and do this great performance. The first two seasons are on Netflix. There's a revival that came out a couple years ago, but it's only on Showtime. So I think after that, I'll probably do like I'll set something up on Showtime so I can check that out. But I would recommend it highly. It ages very well. It has also a really good theme song. So that's my take. Yes.
Real quick.
Yes.
When you told me about that show a couple days ago, I initially had thought that it was the show with Zach Galifianakis where he interviews people.
Between two ferns, you mean?
So when you were like, "Oh yeah, I'm watching this show," and I was like, "Oh, are you gonna watch the movie after?" I was referring to the movie.
Yeah.
But Twin Peaks.
There is a Twin Peaks. There is a Twin Peaks movie which also worked out.
Yeah, so it worked out for me. Anyways, I probably shouldn't have said that, but I mean, I'm here.
That's pretty funny. So I'm glad you did say it. It was
Thank
pretty
you.
good. But I mean, I think unless you boys had any other recommendations or shows, movies you checked out, I think that's it for this pod.
Yeah.
So as you're probably listening to this, you're probably wondering what's next. I don't know what's next. I don't know if we're going to return to weekly quite yet. We might just do this every so often until everything's good, and then we'll probably return to our weekly episodes again. But for now, it might be just episodes like this where after maybe like 2 weeks or so, we'll probably jump on, just see what's updates, see what's going on, talk about what we've been watching, things like that. I don't know if you boys have any specific thoughts about that, but I think that's how we're probably going to go forward.
Okay with that.
That sounds like a good idea because it gives us like time to like watch, like especially since we've been watching a lot of TV, like to like kind of finish, like watching what we're watching and then discuss it and things like that. So
it's unfortunate.
Well, I'm gonna have to watch a new TV show now, so I'll keep you guys updated on that.
Yeah, same. I'm almost done with Twin Peaks, so but yeah, until then, which is unfortunate because we had a new setup ready to go for the pod, a new in-action studio. Fortunately, those plans had to get postponed for now, but hopefully in the future it will happen. And also an ironic state, this was something that was going to come down the road, but of course when we probably return, we won't be doing video. So for these quarantine episodes, there will be this video Skype call format that you guys can check out on our YouTube channel. So we still have a backlog of a couple episodes, and maybe in this time I'll try to get the rest of our episodes out. But now we'll have some video content on there so you guys can check out, and that will be in the description if you're listening to this in the audio form. And you can follow that, subscribe, follow us to keep updated on that. But Brett, what other platforms can they check us out on?
Derek, they can actually check us out on Spotify. If you click the link here. I'm kidding. Spotify, back on iHeartRadio once more. We've got the news during our quarantine time and our time off. And we are officially back on iHeartRadio. We are on Anchor, Stitcher, and the iTunes app where you can subscribe to us and rate us 5 stars and leave a positive review.
Hell yeah. And Daniel, where can they find the podcast? What social media?
We're on Twitter. Yeah, we're on Twitter and Instagram at @AnActionPod.
And if you want to follow us all during this time and see updates what we're doing, you follow us all individually on our social media platforms. I'm on Twitter at DRockMountain or on Instagram at DRockyMountain.
And I'm on Instagram and on Twitter at Brett J. Burke.
And I'm on Twitter at Denko89 and Instagram at DenkoRomero89.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there.
For tuning in. Stay safe.
Wash your hands.
Wash some hands.
Wash your
6
hands,
feet apart.
please.
Social distancing.
And for Daniel?
Sorry. I deserve that.
See you guys.
Bye.